Hey, drag fans, please listen up.
I'm Alaska.
And my name is Willem.
And we are the hosts of Race
Chaser,
the premier and preeminent RuPaul's Drag Race recap podcast. And if you aren't listening to this podcasting behemoth yet, start right now.
Because it's 2023 and we have weekly coverage of the all-new episodes from the season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Every Wednesday, we will discuss, dissect, and disseminate all of the juiciest moments, wildest runway looks, and the shadiest reality TV twists of the best show on television, Drag Race.
Race Chaser with Alaska and Willem is the ultimate backstage pass for both drag obsessives and new fans alike. So don't wait, find us on your podcast apps and listen.
Check out new episodes of Race Chaser every Wednesday and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you.
Warning, today's episode contains some talk of violence. It's going to come during the triumph and fail section, starting at around the 6.5 minute mark and go to about 12 minutes in the episode. So that's the window. You can skip if you don't want to hear that today. Thanks.
Welcome to Mom and Dad Are Fighting, Slate's parenting podcast for Thursday, November 2nd, the Boys and Their Toys edition. I'm Jamilah Lemieux, a writer, contributor to Slate's Care and Feeding Parenting column, and mom to Naima, who is 10, and we live in Los Angeles.
I'm Zak Rosen. I make another podcast. It's called The Best Advice Show, and I'm dad to Noah, who's 6, and Ami, who's 3. We live in Detroit.
I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. I write the homeschool and family travel blog Dutch Goose. I'm the mom of 3 littles, Henry, who's 11, Oliver, who's 9, and Teddy, who's 7. We live in Tokyo, Japan.
Today on the show, we've got a kid who's very into good guy versus bad guy play, and a parent who's worried that this is actually the beginning of some ideas about toxic masculinity. We're also going to catch up on our week in parenting, and then, if you're in the Slate Plus Club, we're going to be talking about a recent episode of RadioLab. It really made us think, and we think you'll love it too. Here's what you'll hear if you have Slate Plus.
The mundane of make breakfast, do this, is totally gone because you have this person in your house that you don't know what they're going to do. They don't follow the normal rules. So at the end, when they're they kind of say well, your life because you have kids is boring. And to me, I feel like the kids make my life not boring.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's fair to say, I think she's kind of joking when Lulu refers to her own life as boring, but it's this research says that having kids shortens your felt sense of time.
By becoming a Slate Plus member, you'll enjoy a weekly bonus segment and all your beloved Slate podcasts without any advertisements. It's the ultimate way to enhance your listening experience while also providing vital support to the show. You can join Slate Plus today by visiting slate.com/momanddadplus. All right, we're going to jump into triumphs and fails as soon as we get back from this short break.
This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. As a parent, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing your child's eyes light up with curiosity and enthusiasm. When you give a gift that inspires a child to explore a topic they're passionate about, you're not just offering them a present, you're fostering a love for learning that can last a lifetime. That's why I turned to KiwiCo craft boxes. With their thoughtfully curated kits, kids can delve into subjects like science, art, and engineering, turning playtime into an educational adventure. These boxes spark a flame of inquisitiveness in our little ones, encouraging them to ask questions, experiment, and discover. When you're giving KiwiCo, you're gifting so much more than a small box of toys. Our family recently embarked on the delightful journey of candle making. Well, here's the thing. It wasn't just about crafting. It was about learning the art of following directions, a skill that we often take for granted, as well as all gathering around the table and watching our kids decipher the step-by-step instructions and teaching them the importance of precision and patience. But here's the best part. Everything I needed came in the box, and the quality is actually really, really good. This is a candle that we could gift. This is a candle that we can actually use. I sort of look at it and can't believe we actually made it. Unwrap more than a gift. Discover hands-on fun with KiwiCo. Get your first month free on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/momanddad. This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. As a parent, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing your child's eyes light up with curiosity and enthusiasm. When you give a gift that inspires a child to explore a topic they're passionate about, you're not just offering them a present, you're fostering a love for learning that can last a lifetime. That's why I turned to KiwiCo craft boxes. With their thoughtfully curated kits, kids can delve into subjects like science, art, and engineering, turning playtime into an educational adventure. These boxes spark a flame of inquisitiveness in our little ones, encouraging them to ask questions, experiment, and discover. When you're giving KiwiCo, you're gifting so much more than a small box of toys. Our family recently embarked on the delightful journey of candle making. Well, here's the thing. It wasn't just about crafting. It was about learning the art of following directions, a skill that we often take for granted, as well as all gathering around the table and watching our kids decipher the step-by-step instructions and teaching them the importance of precision and patience. But here's the best part. Everything I needed came in the box, and the quality is actually really, really good. Like, this is a candle that we could gift. This is a candle that we can actually use. I sort of look at it and can't believe we actually made it. Unwrap more than a gift. Discover hands-on fun with KiwiCo. Get your first month free on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/momanddad.
And we're back. Elizabeth, what have you been up to this week?
Okay, so Sunday, we were supposed to have a class picnic for the first grade. And I'm not going to lie, I was not really looking forward to it. I know I've been talking about how we need friends. This is the kind of thing we have to go to because we need to be meeting people. But it is just so awkward, you guys. A lot of the class, like I said, the children speak English, but the parents do not. And so the conversations are sometimes awkward. Plus, even when we have the class picnic or something like that, the whole families are coming, and we are just a very large family here. But we need to bring everyone because we want people to meet everybody, and the boys are happier when they're with their, brothers, and do we want to leave them at home when they could come? So we're all planning on going. But Sunday mornings also, Jeff is in this run club, so he gets up super early and goes running. So I wake up because it is thundering. Jeff is gone, and I pick up my phone, and it says that the first grade picnic is canceled on this group thread. And I'm kind of relieved.
Sure.
But then there's all these other messages, and I scroll down, and a parent has said, oh, the Newcamps have offered to host us at their house. I'm I'm sorry.
What?
It's 7 a.m. So I'm frantically trying to text Jeff, what has happened. And I mean, we are very lucky in that we are in a larger home for Tokyo. We are not in a home that can accommodate, let's say, 14 children and their families. We could all physically be in the home, but could we, where would the children play? And if it were nice, there's a park not too far away, if there had been some thought. So I finally get a hold of him. He's yes, I messaged the mom, the class mom, to say that maybe we could host, but I needed to talk to you. And she just posted it on the board. So now I'm not only did I not want to go to this thing, we have now volunteered to host. So I'm either going to have to let people down. It's canceling is one thing, but letting everyone down to me is a whole nother thing. Now we've gotten their hopes up, and now we're going to be oops, sorry. And in my world, we would just never say anything. If I thought, oh, maybe we should do this, I would definitely talk to Jeff first. And of course, he didn't think they were going to post it to the group board. We don't know how things work here. So we finally decide that we need to basically say, if there are 14 families still planning to come, we can't host. But if it's a smaller number, we could host. Meanwhile, though, Teddy has heard us discussing, and he thinks that his whole class is coming to our house, and he is so excited. So we kind of put this thing look, we can't really have everyone come. And another mom is well, maybe we could do some smaller groups, blah, blah, blah. It eventually shakes out that 2 families are going to come to our house. And then there are other smaller groups that are getting together. It's okay, this is great. We end up having these 2 families over. And first of all, Teddy is delighted. The kids are so great. There's one little boy, one little girl. They are having the best time. The 2 moms is super awkward, but super fun. But it turns out one of the moms has a fourth grader that is not in is in the same school, but not in Oliver's class. But they're having such a good time. She calls the dad and the fourth grader to come over. And Oliver in particular, just being quiet, has had a much harder time connecting with people. In fact, when we went to his parent-teacher conferences, they sort of said, your kid is not making friends. Otherwise, he's doing fine. We're yeah, he listed on a sheet, who are your friends? He wrote no one, just these really tragic things. But this kid shows up and he's all in Harry Potter gear. And he and Oliver end up having this wonderful time. And I feel so despite me wanting nothing to do with any of this and just being a real downer on the day, we left with Teddy having a great time and Oliver having a friend who sat with him on the bus on a field trip yesterday. So
oh, cute.
I'm you know what? My negative attitude was unnecessary.
That does sound stressful though, but that is some nice silver lining.
It was good. What are you guys up to?
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a dark one. I wasn't on the show last week because it was a couple days after our dear friend was murdered. Sam Woll was one of my wife's best friends. She was 40, and she was murdered on October 21st. By the way, if you're wondering, we don't know who did it. There hasn't been anyone arrested yet, so that's still lingering. And Sam was this incredible person who was to be crass, the least likely person to be killed. She had no enemies and was this incredible bridge builder and just one of the great people of all time. And so we have never known grief like this. Oh man, it's been the worst. It's been about 10 days and it's felt both a year of misery, even though it's just been 10 days. But we've been beside ourselves, disoriented. And to a certain degree, I've known that we can't keep this from the kids because it's too apparent. It is too obvious that we are heartbroken. And I don't want them to feel like their parents are unable to parent, and so Ami doesn't know anything. He's 3, and well, who knows what he knows? I shouldn't assume, but I don't think he necessarily knows what's going on. But Noah is super perceptive, and to make this all the more surreal, Sam died a day before Shira's sister's wedding. So we were at it was Shira's sister's wedding weekend. We were with a bunch of family when we found out, and so the day of the wedding and the funeral, Shira and Noah actually got their nails done, which is super cute. And that's when Shira decided to tell Noah. And understandably, Noah was how did she die? And she has continued to ask, how did she die? And that's where I've drawn my line, and we've drawn a line. She can't know about the idea of murder, that it's real. Yeah. She's 6. And so what we've been saying is, we don't know. It was all of a sudden. She wasn't sick, but it was all of a sudden. And we just don't know, but we're super sad. So that's been kind of our party line, which I think she's bought. And we've been talking about it on and off. And because the pain is so visceral and on the surface right now, I picked her up from school the other day and was just crying. And she was like, adults don't cry. And it must have been the first time she saw me cry from tears of sadness. She's certainly seen me cry tears of laughter and tears of joy and pride, but I think that it probably was the first time, or at least the first time she clocked tears of grief. And so she said, adults don't cry. And I was actually we do. We absolutely cry. And mommy and daddy are super sad right now, but we're not going to always be this sad, but we're really sad right now because we miss Sam. We miss our friend. And she got that. And we have continued to talk about Sam and have continued to conceal the cause of Sam's death at the same time. So failure of humanity for taking Sam away from us. I'm telling you, if we didn't have kids, I do not see how the fuck we would be getting up out of bed, so thank you to my children for giving me a reason to just put one foot in front of the other right now.
Zach, we've been thinking of you. It's awful. There's just no words.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really has meant a lot to me that you two have both checked in with me, and truly the only bit of solace we found is just by like being in community with those other people who loved Sam, and just the amount of text threads and conversations we've been having with other lovers of Sam Woll has been, what has kept our heads above water. So yeah, thank you two for being there for me last week and beyond.
I do want to say that you're living through this moment in parenting where it's like we try to lay all these stones to protect our kids from this, but also let them know about life, and life still happens, and it's hard. Like it's hard, and you're doing it for the first time too. Because in my head too, I'm thinking it's such a community loss. Like you almost have to guard them too. Like, are they going to hear something?
I know. I'm worried
from
about
the
her
community,
finding out at school.
And especially as it gets further away from the event, I think adults sometimes lose a sense that there are still tiny ears who might not understand everything and can't process it,
Yes, I know. I don't know when the day is going to come, but it's going to come when she finds out.
I mean, right.
Right.
But it hopefully is not soon.
I know, but I do worry about it. Yeah.
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 Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, we're thinking.
Zach, I'm just so sorry.
Thank you.
I read a few articles about Sam, and she sounded like a really incredible woman.
The best. But yeah, I'll keep you all posted on. We're gonna do a lot of stuff. There's a truism in Judaism: may their memory be a blessing. And so we might make a book. There's I think some real beautiful things that we're gonna make for Sam and about Sam, and I'll keep folks posted about that, so you can learn more about her as the weeks pass and as the fog of grief hopefully lifts a little bit.
Obviously, we love you, and we love your family and your community, and want to be here for you.
I feel it. Thanks both of you, and to Maura and Rosie, who've also been super super kind. So our producers. Okay, because I could talk about Sam all day. So let's move on. Jamilah, give me something to live for.
No pressure, Jamilah.
No pressure. Well, unfortunately, I have a fail.
It's okay.
I have a fail. So Naeem was playing volleyball, which I've mentioned before. And last weekend, she had 2 games on Friday night and 2 games on Saturday morning.
That's a lot of volleyball. That's
volleyball
a lot of spiking.
Weekend.
It's a lot of volleyball.
Hope you like volleyball.
Oh yeah, I love girls beginner volleyball. It's great.
But it takes like 12 serves to get it over the net.
Yeah. Like when a serve actually makes it over the net, the crowd goes wild.
That's the triumph right there. Yeah. The ball's in play.
The ball's in play. And so so I went on Friday night, and she stayed with her dad, and she got hurt. She ended up, like, long story, but she got a black eye on Friday.
Right.
And I didn't think that she was going to go on Saturday. I thought she was going to sit Saturday out. And I also left my cell phone at a restaurant on Friday night.
Okay.
So I don't have my phone, which is also like my alarm. So I'm just like, well, she's not going to volleyball. I don't have to go to these Saturday games.
Right.
And she definitely played in both Saturday games, and I was not there.
Oh, because she was sleeping at her dad's Friday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so I had warned her I might not make it to the Saturday games because I'm taking my comedy class on Saturday. Yeah. And usually, like, that's the day where I do my writing. I write my material and practice for a few hours before I go. And I knew that, like, if I went to the game, I really wouldn't have time to do that. So I had warned her I might not be there. But
was she mad?
I feel she wasn't. She was cool about it. But I just feel bad,
No.
I know.
Don't feel bad. Only because, listen, if there were multiple children involved, you wouldn't be at every one of her game. Like, the expectation that you're at everything, it is, I just think, a privilege she has from being an only child.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it sounds like there's going to be a bunch more games.
There's going to be a bunch more
shortage.
games. We'll be back at it on Friday night.
But you got your phone back on Saturday?
I got my phone back on Saturday. I wasn't able to get to the evening because the restaurant didn't open until nighttime. So I was off the grid.
For a day. How was that?
That must have been nice.
She actually did FaceTime me after her game. So, like, I answered it from my computer. So I did talk to her. But aside from that, it was pretty cool.
Right? It's nice to get a little break.
Yeah.
Is she enjoying volleyball more than basketball?
She seems to be. She's really vocal. You know, I think she's a little more skilled at basketball just because she's had, like, years of practice. But, like, she's really vocal and, like, a leader on the team,
know,
and, like, not the strongest player yet, but a lot of heart.
It's only been a couple months, right?
Weeks?
Not even. It's been, like, maybe a month.
Does she have friends on the team?
She does. So, like, they have 3 teams that play at the rec center, and, like, they play each other.
Oh, that's
And
fun.
so, like, some of her friends are on other teams, but she's made friends with girls on this team, and she seems really happy with it.
Oh, good.
That's awesome. Good for her.
Very proud of her. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our listener question.
Hey, drag fans, please listen up.
I'm Alaska.
And my name is Willem.
And we are the hosts of Race
Chaser,
the premier and preeminent RuPaul's Drag Race recap podcast. And if you aren't listening to this podcasting behemoth yet, start right now.
Because it's 2023 and we have weekly coverage of the all-new episodes from the season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Every Wednesday, we will discuss, dissect, and disseminate all of the juiciest moments, wildest runway looks, and the shadiest reality TV twists of the best show on television, Drag Race.
Race Chaser with Alaska and Willem is the ultimate backstage pass for both drag obsessives and new fans alike. So don't wait. Find us on your podcast apps and listen.
Check out new episodes of Race Chaser every Wednesday and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you.
We all need advice sometimes.
Right? Someone to say, I get it. I've been there too.
But often it's hard to know where to turn, which is where we come in. Hi, I'm Carvel Wallace.
And I'm Courtney Martin. We're both authors and journalists who love finding solutions to problems.
Every week on Slate's How To podcast, a listener comes on our show to receive advice from a world-class expert.
We've covered everything from parents with radically different politics to people learning to love their insecurities.
We've helped listeners breathe better, sleep better, and even have better sex.
Speaking of sex, we're all getting screwed by a warming planet. So we've also learned how to cope with climate change and how to say goodbye to our pets.
Life is messy and complicated, but we're all in this together, so let's help each other.
Look for How To from Slate wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, this is Mary Harris, host of Slate's daily news podcast, What Next? Slate's mission has always been to cut through the noise, boldly and provocatively. This election season and Supreme Court term are no different. Important coverage like this, though, it would not be possible without the support of our Slate Plus members. So, I'm going to invite you to join us with a special offer. You can try your first 3 months for only $15. That is $5 a month for your first 3 months of uninterrupted ad-free listening on every Slate podcast, member-exclusive episodes and segments of your favorite shows like Amicus and the Political Gabfest, and unlimited reading on the Slate site. Best of all, you'll be supporting all of Slate's independent journalism and analysis as we make sense of the news like no one else can. Sign up for Slate Plus at slate.com/podcastsplus. Again, that is 3 months for only $15. So sign up now at slate.com/podcastplus.
All right, we're back. Here is our question. Dear Mom and Dad, how have parents dealt with children's shifting interests and behaviors when they start showing a preference for certain activities and play dynamics that might reinforce traditional gender roles and exclusionary behavior? My son is all of a sudden very interested in good guys versus bad guys, some violent play, mostly with sticks, and some boys only no girls play. Some of this comes from an older playground friend who has a little sister and is clearly trying to differentiate himself, but I'm wondering how others have handled this mini toxic masculinity bullshit. Sign, I thought this was going better. What do you think, Zach?
Well, before I did a little research, I too might have been a little concerned, but I think it is premature to call this toxic masculinity. And I think that, in fact, what your kid is doing is entirely normal. There's a book that you might be interested in. It's called Under Deadman's Skin, Discovering the Meaning of Children's Violent Play by the author Jane Catch. And one thing she writes is that all children love to play good guys and bad guys because it's how they explore what it means to be powerful. And if you're a rule-following kid most of the time, it's really fun to pretend to be the bad guy. And so there's all this research from social psychologists and parenting experts about, I think, the benefit of this type of play. A psychologist that I found through an article from Parent Magazine that we'll link to, they were hesitant to even call something like this violent play. It's just play. And there's also no study that shows a correlation between childhood play and adult violence. So I think like my opening, idea here is that this is normal, and from what we understand, based solely on the question, I don't know what's going on at home. I don't know if they're working through some stuff in play that they might have seen at home or on TV. But from what I understand, like, your kid's being a kid.
I completely co-sign that and wanted to separate for this question kind of the good guy, bad guy play, which to me, Zach, like you said, very normal.
Yes, right.
Imaginative,
two different things here.
Working on empathy. Like I this might be one of my most Googled things as a parent personally, because I just felt like the boys, particularly mine, loved to be the bad guy. Like the fights were over who could be the bad guy. And so I'm like, am I raising, like, what am I doing wrong? And just to realize, like, no, they're experimenting with things in play that they know they wouldn't do in real life. It is a great way to learn empathy. I want to add that if you're really worried about it, ask them, like, around the dinner table, like, hey, in this game, like, what was happening? Why do you love being this? I just found that their answers were, like, actually quite empathetic, like that they were thinking about why this person would be like the bad guy, right? Like there's this whole, they create these whole backstories, and that is a really good entry to kind of saying, like, yes, no one is acting in a vacuum. Like to understand that your kids might understand that being perceived as the bad guy, like that person had some kind of motivation to be that right or wrong, and experimenting with those kind of things, I think, is great. I do want to say that on this good guy, bad guy, you can lay down some ground rules. Are you even a parent if you've never had to yell, like, no sticks at some child? Like, the amount of times.
No, you learned that in the first day of parenting class.
Yeah. I mean, I joked that I was going to put it on a t-shirt because I have to say it so much. You know what? We're all nature play, pick up the sticks. It's like I always end up yelling, no sticks. Because a stick it's a sword, it's a bat. They're, wielding it around. We did make just a rule that in our family, we do not play guns. Like, so nothing can be a gun, nothing can. And as soon as I see that, the thing ends. That is our family's rule. And I just explained to the kids, guns kill people. We don't play things that kill people. Like, that's just not something fun. It's not, I want you to have a healthy respect for what a gun is, and so therefore playing with them is not okay. And that has been just like our hard and fast rule. I don't know if that's good or bad, to the point of which
do they push back?
No, I mean, no, they have certainly been to houses where that rule is not true. And there's been some, like, we don't even really play with like water guns, squirt guns, Nerf guns. They have played with them at other places, but I just have expressed like my discomfort with it because like the purpose of a gun is to kill or hurt something. And that to me is not a children's plaything.
Yeah. But when they play at someone else's house, you're cool with that.
I can't do anything about it. I mean, I've expressed to them, like, I don't I don't love that, but I can't make those choices for you when they're there, and different people have different rules. You know, what else can I do? So I want to say it's okay to set like boundaries with that. And listen, 2 of my kids fence, so like any stick is going to become a sword, and allowing them to play some of that out and also get hurt by the stick in that way, I think is a very, very natural thing. I do think we should separate out though this like no girls thing.
Yeah. Totally.
I definitely think that that's the issue that needs to be addressed here, you know, and I get it because your child, we don't know exactly how old they are, but, you know, likely at an age where they're noticing the differences or the perceived differences between boys and girls, and they're really interested in how people are cataloged and grouped, you know, and there's a level of self-segregation that boys and girls do in classroom settings, you know, on play dates. Like, they tend to cling to each other at a certain point. But you really want to talk to them about why that's not cool. You know, like, girls are fun. Girls are people.
Yeah.
Girls are equal to you, you know. You definitely want to make sure that you're talking to them. I mean, this is the healthy masculinity conversation that you want to have, you know, like you want to talk to them about respecting girls and women as their peers, you know, and why it's important to have relationships with them, you know, and that a lot of young men miss out because they're not choosing to have real friendships with girls. You know, they're thinking they only need to be with other boys. And you know, in terms of thinking of someone's long-term relationship to gender and to people of other genders, it's important that you start early by having those healthy relationships and playing together, you know, and that you may find that the girls want to play some of the same things that you want to play, you know, and that some of the things the girls play are really fun too.
I would like this person to delve into why no girls. And when we've had that in our house, I've always just tried to ask, like, well, what's the motivation? Like, as opposed to being angry about it. Because I do think, like, my initial reaction raising 3 boys when they do things like this is like anger at myself, anger at them. So being like calm and just being like, hey, why? Because maybe it is actually they want to play big kids and not little kids, right? And that is, it's like, okay, then here are some ways that we can do that. Is there something that we can have the younger children playing with us, but I understand these are things you want to do with kids that can do more, right? What? Because the letter mentions like, well, maybe it's this little sister thing, you know. But when we use the language no girls, we're shutting off this whole door to friendships and to people. For me, the other thing that's worked with my kids is to say, like, what if you and the family said no girls? Then I would be left out from all of, like, I'm excluded. And how does that make me feel? Because I'm a girl in their life that they care for. And I think that has made them see, like, oh, yeah, mom would be alone, which, listen, sometimes I'm asking for, but they can empathize that I would feel left out, because if I said, well, everyone in the family, unless you're 11, you know what I mean? Or unless you're this, they can understand how them being left out would feel. I also think, and I don't know if you guys do this, but we have a playground rule that is just everyone can play. I mean, that's probably, my shirt would say no sticks, everyone can play.
Yeah.
It's like if we are in a public place playing, so not at our house, you know, I can say like, okay, you don't want your brother to play or you don't want this to play, we can work that out. But if you are on a playground or you are somewhere playing, everyone gets to play the game. I don't care who they are, I don't care how old they are, I don't care whatever. We make space for everyone. And that's just the rule. And if we can't do that, then we need to leave.
Yeah. I really recommend this article that we'll put in the show notes. Should parents be concerned about violent play? There's a quote in there that I thought was really helpful for this piece. It's from Dr. Diane Levin, who's a professor of early childhood education. She writes that many toys, shows, and video games convey the idea that violence is a de facto part of masculinity. This can make it harder for boys to opt out when a game goes beyond their comfort zone, or to explore play about themes that feel, quote, girly. Dr. Levin suggests offering plenty of alternatives rather than banning violent content or to the point of this, exclusionary content. In preschool, let boys play with dolls and dress up clothes. Later, offer books, games, and movies with nonviolent themes alongside whatever their friends are watching. So just broadening the idea of what it means to be a boy, and that it's not dictated by this video game or that movie, but it's no, I mean.
Also making sure that your boys are consuming content with female protagonists,
That's
TV shows, books, movies, heroes in real life, that the idea of who's a hero, who's cool, who's important isn't limited to boys and men.
I've had one of the kids tell me well, girls don't want to play this game. And I'm like, okay, I mean, if you've offered or if someone comes up, right? But there are plenty of girls who do want to play this game, whatever this weird game is, right? That you're collecting things in the woods or running around or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's not for you to decide who wants to and doesn't want to play. If there are girls, boys, whoever that don't want to play your game, that's totally fine. But you don't get to assume that they don't want to play.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, letter writer, thank you so much for listening and writing in. We hope our suggestions helped. Please follow up. We love follow-ups. And if you're a listener with a burning question or you just want to chat, drop us a line at momanddad@slate.com or ring us up at 646-357-9318. Seriously, we're all ears for your questions, so send them our way. And that's our show. Subscribe, leave a rating and review, and tell your friends. This episode of Mom and Dad Are Fighting is produced by Maura Curry. Shasha Leonard is the voice of our listeners. Alicia Montgomery is the VP of Slate Audio. For Elizabeth Newcamp and Zak Rosen, I'm Jamilah Lemieux. Thanks for listening.
Hey, drag fans, please listen up.
I'm Alaska.
And my name is Willem.
And we are the hosts of Race
Chaser,
the premier and preeminent RuPaul's Drag Race recap podcast. And if you aren't listening to this podcasting behemoth yet, start right now.
Because it's 2023 and we have weekly coverage of the all-new episodes from the season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Every Wednesday, we will discuss, dissect, and disseminate all of the juiciest moments, wildest runway looks, and the shadiest reality TV twists of the best show on television, Drag Race.
Race Chaser with Alaska and Willem is the ultimate backstage pass for both drag obsessives and new fans alike. So don't wait. Find us on your podcast apps and listen.
Check out new episodes of Race Chaser every Wednesday and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Heidecker. You know me, Tim and Eric, Bridesmaids, and Fantastic Four. I'd like to personally invite you to listen to Office Hours Live with me and my co-hosts, DJ Doug Pound.
Hello.
And Vic Berger.
Howdy.
Every week we bring you laughs, fun, games, and lots of other surprises. It's live. We take your Zoom calls.
Music.
We love having fun. Excuse me?
Songs. Vic said something.
Music. Songs.
Music.
I like having fun. I like to laugh. I like to meet people who can make me laugh. Please subscribe now.